Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Mighty Stream. Today is April the 4th, Monday, April the 4th. I'm excited to be with you this morning. I hope that your week is starting off to a great start. I hope that you are excited. I hope that you're excited about your day, excited about your week, and excited about your life. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference just for today. Well, again, my name is Mighty Stream. I welcome you to the program. I'm going to cover the Just for Today in a meditation for April 4th with you. I'm excited to do that. I have it pulled up and I will share the screen here in just a second. And I'm excited because this happens to be one of those mornings I could not tell you what the topic was. So I'm excited to see how this goes. I am brought to you by Hope Through Navigation. I'm with their Hood Recovery Services. The acronym HOOD, HOOD, stands for Hope Offered on Demand. This is a program in progress. I am building it day by day, and I am excited. I cannot tell you the exact date that the application will be released. That part I'm not sure about because I am constantly building content. Even when you don't hear me, I'm in the background building content, spending sometimes 6 hours a day trying to organize and put content together for different topics so that it will be readily available for you. And I am enjoying myself. So I'm excited about that. Let's get right to it. There we go. All right. So this is the Just for Today meditation for April 4th, guarding our recovery. Remember that we are ultimately responsible for our recovery and our decisions. Basic text, page 103. Most of us will face choices that challenge our recovery. If we find ourselves in extreme physical pain, for example, we will have to decide whether or not we will take medication. We will have to be very honest with ourselves about the severity of our pain, honest with our doctor about our addiction and our recovery, and honest with our sponsor. In the end, however, the decision is ours, for we are the ones who must live with the consequences. Another common challenge is the choice of attending a party where alcohol will be served. Again, we should consider our own spiritual state. If someone who supports our recovery can attend the event with us, so much the better. However, if we don't feel up to such a challenge, we should probably decline the invitation. Today, we know that preserving our recovery is more important than saving face. All such decisions are tough ones, requiring not only our careful consideration, but the guidance of our sponsor and complete surrender to a higher power. Using all of these resources, we make the best decision we can. Ultimately, however, the decision is ours. Today, we are responsible for our own recovery. Just for today, when faced with a decision that may challenge my recovery, I will consult all the resources at my disposal before I make my choice. That's a powerful reading, guarding our recovery. I like that. I like that. Yes, yes, look at that. Ultimately responsible for our recovery and our decisions. I think for me, I will have to discuss this more from the angle of just showing up and doing life, being responsible for my recovery, right? It's my responsibility. I cannot expect anyone else, actually. I cannot, I mean, it'd be nice to think that other members in the fellowship will think about their impact on my recovery, but they're probably so busy with their own problems and hopefully their own successes, right? Um, it's not realistic for me to think someone else is going to think ahead of time before they even offer me to come to an event that's serving alcohol. It's not realistic that people would even think along those lines. There's people in the fellowship that alcohol was not their drug of choice. Um, Maybe crack or meth or heroin, right, was their drug of choice. And so when it comes to alcohol, because they consider alcohol a less impactful drug, mind and mood altering substance, there to go to a bar or hang out with individuals that are drinking, it's not a big deal to them. It doesn't even faze them. And the impact that they have on the newcomer doesn't even faze them. They're not even conscious that the newcomer may be aware that there's a group of people in the fellowship that actually go to the club and hang out, drink Coca-Cola and water and tea and party all night. They're not conscious that what they do is affecting anyone else's view or successfulness in recovery. And ultimately, to tell the truth, right? This is supposed to be about attraction and not about promotion. It may not be attractive, but from one addict, recovering addict to another, doesn't matter what I actually do. What matters is that you are ultimately responsible for your recovery and your decisions. Um, yeah, I think people should be considerate of others, um, but it's not their responsibility to consider me. The responsibility lies with me to consider me. I like this first part. It's totally up to me whether or not I'm going to take prescribed medication or even over the counter medication, right? Because we have situations with colds and flus and physical body pain. You can get stuff over the counter yourself, right? So it's up to me to decide whether or not I'm going to take any medication. There's people in the fellowship, do you know, have not had so much as a Tylenol or ibuprofen. And that is totally up to them. Um, and then this thing about letting the doctor know your situation, it's totally up to you to be responsible for that. It's totally up for you to guard your recovery. I know some people that they have a lot of physical issues, and their doctor has absolutely no clue that they are recovering from the disease of addiction. The doctor has absolutely no clue because they refuse to bring it up. They don't want to break their anonymity, but most importantly, they don't want the doctor to withhold anything that may be helpful for them in their condition. Their trust factor with their doctor or maybe with themselves is very low. I'm not really sure, but I know people that are in recovery and their doctor has no idea that they are even recovering addicts. So they're constantly faced with whether or not the prescription that they get for their condition is going to affect them, if it's going to be mind and mood altering and cause them to have triggers. And that's totally up to them. Their recovery needs to be guarded by them, not by Mighty Stream and not by you or anyone else, right? But remember, the decisions that we make, what did the Just for Today say? We need to be responsible for the consequences, ready to deal with the consequences. And that's not fear mongering, that is just reality. In this world today, even more now during this early post-pandemic status, people have gotten so used to operating on their own, in their own circle, in their own home, in their own business, right? That even more so today than before, to be included in a group is almost like not common anymore, but it's also a privilege. And it has taught us that we need to respect the decisions of others. I mean, this has really stirred, and I'm talking about this pandemic, has really stirred a debate or brought up an issue of people having the right to make their own decisions and not be forced to do what others think they ought to do. With vaccines, with mandates about vaccines for some workers, with wearing a mask or not wearing a mask just to go into a grocery store, right? So the power of one being able to take their make their own decision has somewhat been challenged. And people have thoughts about that. People have an opinion about that. Some people are adamant. Everyone should be vaxxed. And if you're not, you need to sign your life away that you're not. Let us know that you're not so that we can consider the fact that you're not. Well, in reality, when you go out into your day-to-day life, we need to be mindful that there's just as many people that are vaxxed are just as many people that are not. And if you are following the news about the vaccine, you know that people are still coming down with variants. So be careful, right? Like you guard your health, you guard your recovery. That's the point that Mighty Stream is making, that we are responsible for our decisions and we're responsible for the consequences of our decisions, right? It's totally unfair for me as a individual to be exposed to the consequences of your decisions. Is it realistic that I can avoid it all times? Not necessarily so, but it's not okay to bring your decisions and your consequences to my table, right? And vice versa. Mostly we see that kind of interaction taking place when you're dealing with children. When a parent is trying to teach their child to be responsible for the decisions they make. And then depending on the consequences, which usually the parent enforces those consequences, the parent embraces that, right? They set boundaries for their children. In the program, a recovery, a sponsor is not your parent. They're there to give you some guidance, give you some input on the spiritual principles of the 12 steps and how you can apply them in your life. And that's why I think it's really good to stay in touch with your sponsor, to have that type of relationship with your sponsor that you can call up and talk on good days and bad days, that you can talk every day if you want to, but that you can have that open access with your sponsor so that they get you, they understand you, right? And so that when you bring something to them, they know how to make the first step the second step and the third step, those spiritual principles of honesty, faith, and trust, 1, 2, 3, they know how to make that real to you, how to bring it to life for you in your life. So when I say, that it's not fair to bring the consequences of your decisions to another person, expect them to embrace them, I'm not really talking about how a sponsor will interact with their sponsee. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, let's say you and your partner, husband, or just somebody you kicking it with, right? Your partner are having a huge fight. I mean, and it's very volatile. You're having a huge fight. You're fearing for your life, actually. And instead of calling the police, maybe you call your sponsor. And your sponsor gets all in there, and you better not touch her or whatever, right? Maybe even drives over to your house to be there with you and to help you and to protect you. The police arrive, your sponsor's there, you're there, your significant other is there. And in the conversation with the police, it comes out that your partner caught you cheating. Your partner actually caught you cheating in the house with somebody else. And your sponsor is standing there thinking, what in the world? Wait a minute. We've been talking about honesty, loyalty, and fidelity, and relationship issues for a long time. And here I am standing in your crib with you and the police officer, your significant other, and I'm thinking that they trying to hurt you. And actually, they're just having a reaction to having just caught you cheating on them. And the police needed to be involved for sure, but why am I there? Like, why am I even there? Now, a sponsor should be concerned about the welfare of their sponsee, but the sponsee should also know that there's consequences for your decision. Now, if you want to have a conversation after this dies down, we can revisit some steps and talk about it, but don't pull me into your mess, right? Don't pull me into your mess. I love being a sounding board. And I can say most of the time when I'm interacting with someone that if I just let them know I'm listening, they talk themselves right into their answer. Because really, when you think about it, people aren't so receptive to advice unless they ask for it. So this reading is a beautiful reading. We have to be responsible for our recovery, and we have to guard our recovery. And one thing that I want to close this on this one sentence in here. However, if I don't feel up to such a challenge, we should probably decline the invitation. Today, we know that preserving our recovery is more important than saving face. That's an important statement, and that applies in every area of life. If you are not up to the task, you need to decline the task. And remember, if it's not practical, it's not spiritual, right? I don't have to accept every invitation to speak. I don't have to accept every invitation to sponsor someone. I don't have to accept every invitation to do anything that is not going to yield fruit in the sense that I am bringing to the table my best self. If I'm not up to the task, I can decline. There's been people that I've gone to funerals with because they were worried about being around family members that were using. I remember a family member came up to me at one funeral and said, "Who are you?" I said, I'm a friend. I'm a friend of so and so. Oh. I was wondering. I don't remember seeing you at any of the family reunions. I was just wondering who you were. They were kind enough to let me get out of trying to answer who I was to that person. I just said I was a friend. I didn't have to say I'm a sponsor or I'm, I'm back up for this individual. I didn't have to do that, but sometimes we do get invitations to help other people that aren't feeling so strong at the moment and they want to guard their recovery. Those circumstances I find to be just absolute honors. Well, I hope that you're able to take this just for today and come back to it today. Think about it. Think about how you are going to guard your recovery today, um, and cherish it. You've worked really hard to get to where you are. Don't let anyone rock your boat. Don't let any situation rock your boat. Remember that we need to be able to say no and mean no, and say yes and mean yes, right? We need to protect our recovery because it's ours. We're guarding it, right? You ever seen a goalie guard the net when the soccer ball is headed his direction? Wherever it is, he uses every part of his body to protect the net from that ball. He doesn't want the opposing team to get a point, right? I've seen goalies, soccer goalies, dive. I've seen them use their head. I've seen them use their backs, their arms, whatever it was to reach that ball and knock it the other direction away from the net. And that's how we have to be with our recovery. We have to use our whole self to stop the disease of addiction from finding a way to get in and get a point against us. Will there be some points that the disease of addiction, the opponent, actually gets? Yeah, we're not going to get it perfect every day. But with time, we become better adept at recognizing when the disease is trying to move in our thoughts, move in our feelings, move in our behaviors, move in our acquaintances, our friends, move in our circumstances over bills, right? Just about every day I look at my bank account and I watch for certain bills to come through. And at the same time, when I'm out in public and I need to make a stop and purchase something for the house, I'm not as used to looking at the bank account out in public. I try not to pull that up on my phone out in public, but I have learned that I need to be maybe in my vehicle, or I need to have an account of what's going on instead of just kind of, oh, we need this, we need some milk, we need this, and buy this and buy that. And then when I get to look at my account, I see that I've tapped into some bill money, right? And it causes like a stress. It causes a stress. And so there's some things that I know that I need to do different when it comes to my finances. Because if I don't guard my recovery in a financial sense, it can be a trigger for me, right? I can become angry. I can become short with people. It can become a trigger, right? Like they said, we relapse mentally and emotionally and spiritually long before we relapse physically, long before we pick up the drink, long before we pick up the drug, the substance, right? And so I have to be mindful. I have to be aware. And that's all I want to convey to you today. I hope that you have enjoyed this. I have utterly enjoyed it. I hope that you will have a beautiful day. I am looking for a PDF version of the Step Working Guide that is accurate. Because the one that is on the internet that is available purposefully removes some of the questions, right? And I want to make sure, even if I have to use photos that I take on my iPad of the step, I want to make sure that it's accurate because I don't want to waste my time covering something that is not what you would have in your physical hand. Okay. And so when I get that situated, yeah, I think that might be what I need to do. Just take photos. When I get that situated, I'll start posting my covering the steps. And you are welcome along to go on that journey with me. Whoever you are out there, you're welcome to go along with me on this journey. And Mighty Stream will help you or allow you to see how I would process the steps. And then you can take that information and you can apply it to your own step work, your step writing work, and then feel confident that you're being thorough as you go through this process. Everyone have a beautiful day. I look forward to talking to you, if not later, tomorrow. Take care.